Hello everyone, and welcome to another Pathfinder adventure card game scenario. This is scenario 4.3 with the character Damiel. We're at the Glass Pavilion. We're at this location. At the start of your turn, examine the top card of your location deck. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Advancing the Blessings deck, it's a Blessed of Woodjet. We have to examine this card. So examining it, it's a Blessed of the Ancients, and now we will explore. So the Blessing of the Ancients is a Divine 3 check. Damiel has a Divine skill of D4, and we rolled a 1. So we did not acquire this boon. It gets banished. Looking at Damiel's hand, he's pretty happy with it, so we will advance the Blessings deck, and we get a Curse of Withering. So, ouch. That's a terrible curse to have, but fortunately Damiel has the Soul Stimulant in his hand. So we will go ahead and banish this card, or discard it since we are Damiel, to get rid of that curse. We don't want to deal with that. And now we will examine the card of the location deck. Examining it, it's a Blessed of Woodjet, and now we can explore, and we will encounter this card. So this card's a little different. It has an Intelligence 7 check. So Damiel has an Intelligence of D10 plus 3. So we will go ahead and roll for that. Well, we rolled a 2 plus a 3 is 5. Not enough. This boon gets banished as well. Let's go ahead and reset Damiel's hand. Now we will advance the Blessings deck. It's a Blessed of Thoth. And we will examine this card now. So examining it, it's a Plague Zombie. And now we will go ahead and explore. So the Plague Zombie is a Combat 11 check. It has the Undead Elite traits. It's immune to mental and poison traits. So, let's see. What we're going to do is, looking at Damiel's hand, he has an Acid Flask. We'll go ahead and use the Acid Flask on this check. It'll be a D10 plus 2D6. And we get to add Damiel's Disable modifier, which is plus 4. So, we readily defeat the Plague Zombie. The Plague Zombie is banished. We will reset Damiel's hand, and now we will advance the Blessings deck. It's a Blessed of Bastet. We will examine this card. Examining it, it's a Smoke Stick, and now we will explore. And it does have the Alchemical trait, so Damiel does like things with the Alchemical trait. It's a Intelligence Craft 8. Damiel has a craft skill of D10 plus 5. So rolling a D10. So we roll 3 plus 5 is 8, so we get it right at the start. Or we get it exactly. So let's see, I was reading at the start of your turn. Discard this card to move, or display this card next to your location. We can add 1d8 to stealth checks. At the end of the turn, banish this card. Alright, so let's go ahead and, we don't, do we want to, it's hard to say what we want to do. We don't want to necessarily, let's go ahead, let's do it. We're going to go ahead and display the Smoke Stick, because what we have here now is we have 2 cards in our hand. We'll use this Blessed of Woodjet. We're going to discard this card to examine the top card of your location deck. Then you may explore your location. During this exploration, add 1 die to your checks to acquire boons. Alright, so we are examining a card. It could be tricky. Alright, we examine this card, but now we can add 1d, so our Intelligence, Arcane Wisdom, Divine. So we have a 6 check on the D10. Thanks to the Blessed of Woodjet, we can add another D10. Since it has the Acid trait, Damiel can reveal a card that has the Alchemical trait to add 2d6 to his check to acquire. And since Damiel's Intelligence is a plus 3 mod, this is actually an auto-acquire. That's pretty cool. We can use our Arcane or Divine skill plus 1d6. So that's basically just a d4 plus a d6. It's not really that great, but we did acquire it, which is cool. We're going to go ahead and discard that card. Since it's the end of the turn, we will have to banish the Smoke Stick. No need for it. We're going to reset Damiel's hand, and now we are going to advance the Blessings deck. It's a Blessed of Horus. We have to examine this card. So we examine it. It's a Poison Spiked Pit Trap. No trigger effect, so now we will explore. So the difficulty to defeat is increased by the Scenario's adventure deck number. That would be 4. So we can either do a Dexterity Acrobatics 14 or a Wisdom Perception 12. We'll go ahead and do a Dexterity Acrobatics check. So Damiel's Dexterity is D10. Since it has the Poison trait, we can go ahead and add an additional 2d6. So we still need to roll a 14. So just to be on the safe side, we're going to use a Blessed of Abadar, which will allow us to roll an additional 2 dice, so an additional 2d10. Alright, so I think we'll be in much better shape here. Rolling all these. Yeah, we get a 10, 16, and another 10, so 26, more than enough to defeat the Poison Spiked Pit Trap, which gets banished. Alright, resetting Damiel's hand. We're going to advance the Blessings deck. It's a Blessing of Nethys. We're going to examine this card. Alright, we examine it. It's a Skull Ripper. And now we will explore. There are no trigger effects. It's a combat 14. The Skull Ripper is immune to the attack and mental traits. Let's see. So just a straight up combat 14 check. Let's see, what do we want to do here? We have a Chakram, which will give us range skill plus a D8 and dexterity. So range skill is D10 plus we can have a D8. Let me get the D8 there. We can add 2 to that roll. It says here that we can recharge a card that has the alchemical trait to add a 1d4. So that's what we'll do. We're going to recharge. We will recharge this Alchemist's Shield, which will allow us to roll an additional d4. And then what we're going to do is we will use the Embalming Fluid on this check, so we can add +2 to our roll. So with the range skill, which is +2, and the Embalming Fluid, we're adding +4 to this roll. So, and we rolled an 8 and a 9, which is 17 plus 4 is 21. So the Skull Ripper is defeated. We have to roll for the Embalming Fluid. We need a Craft 7 check, and we rolled a 3. Our Craft was a +5 modifier, so we don't have to bury a card due to the Embalming Fluid. We will reset Damiel's hand, and now we will advance the Blessings deck. It's a Blessing of Leget. We will examine this card, and now we will, since there's no trigger effect, we will explore. So we have a Wisdom Divine 10 check. It's a level 4 spell, so Damiel really wants it. But there's no way he's going to get that card. If it had other keywords, perhaps he could do a shenanigan. But unfortunately, this bane, or this boon, unfortunately, is going to be banished. There's no way Damiel can acquire that card. Kind of tragic. Alright, Damiel's hand is fine. Advancing the Blessings deck. It's a Blessing of Abadar. We're going to examine this card. So we examine it, and now we will, since there's no trigger effect, we will explore. So it's a Trap Poison Elite. Check to defeat, Dexterity Acrobatics 5, or Disable Knowledge 7. Well, Damiel has a Disable modifier of +4, so I think we'll go with that. So, rolling a D10 plus 4. Since it has the Poison Trap, or the Poison trait, we can reveal a card that has the Alchemical trait to add, since it's Damiel, +2d6 to this roll. Since our Disable is a +5 modifier, no, it's +4, 5, 6, 7, so that makes this an auto defeat. That's pretty cool. So the Poison Blade Trap is banished. Alright, looking at Damiel's hand, we like it, we'll keep it. We're going to go ahead and advance the Blessings deck. It's a Blessing of Matt. This is the final card in the location deck, so that must mean it's the villain, and it is. Okay, we examine the card. It has a trigger effect. The trigger effect is that when you examine this card, or before you act, succeed at an Arcane or Divine 7 check. Okay, so that'll be an auto fail for Damiel, unless he has nope, so that will be an auto fail because his Arcane Divine is just a D4. So we have to recharge 1d6 cards, so we'll do that right now. So to recharge one card, we will choose to recharge. Oh, it has 2 combat checks. Wow, that really sucks. So we will recharge. I guess we'll recharge the Scarab Buckler. Then we have to reset our hand. So we'll draw a card. And now we have to take 1d4 mental damage that may not be reduced. Wow, that kind of sucks. So it's a Trigger Moffat Cleric Cultist. Roll a d4. We rolled a 3. So we're going to have to lose 3 cards. So let's see, which cards do we want to lose? We will choose to lose, wow, a lot of cards, unfortunately. They go to the discard pile. So right now, it says here, after you act, if the result of either check to defeat is greater than 26, each character at your location is dealt 1d4 fire damage. Okay, not a problem. So the first combat check is a combat 15. We are going to use the embalming fluid, where we can, so that he does not have any immunities, which is awesome. So we can go ahead and add +2 to this check, and we're going to be using the Chakram, which will give us another +2 for our ranged skill, plus a d10 and a d8. So we're adding +4 to this roll, and that's it. We could go ahead, we could recharge a card that has the alchemical trait to add 2d4 to this roll, but we're pretty low on cards due to that mental damage. So that kind of sucks. The thing is maybe we don't want to. I think you know what we're going to do? We're not going to use the embalming fluid. We're going to use this card, which has the alchemical trait, on Damiel's power, which means that we can recharge it to add 2d4 and the acid or poison trait to a check at our location. So now we're rolling 2 extra dice, and we're adding +2 to this roll, thanks to the Chakram. Alright, and we roll a 7 and a 6, is 13 and a 4, and a 2. And we added, of course, +2 to that roll. So we did make the first combat check. Let's see, was it over 26? So 7, 13, 14, 15, 19, 20, 21. So that first check was just 21. Now we have to do another check. So for this check, we're going to do the Fire Lance. We're going to discard it. So we roll a total of 48. So 1, 2, assembling my dice here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we will do is we will use the Chakram's effect. Now it says, if we played another weapon, which was the Fire Lance, we can discard this to add 1d4. Okay, so for this check, we're rolling 48 and a d4, and we need to roll 17. Alright, let's see what we get. Alright, so we get 5, 10, 11, and 5. So 5, 10, 11, 15, and a 2. 16, 17. Wow. Real nail biter there. So that was right on the dot. So we do not have to take 1d4 fire damage from this villain. Alright, so this henchman, which is the villain of the scenario, is banished. The location is closed, and Damiel has been successful. Alright, well that was pretty interesting. Damiel definitely has some really cool powers that help him out in combat. So the plus side is the location is closed. The downside, let's go ahead and do a abbreviated deck check, because once again, Damiel did not acquire any cards that were of level. So he's on level 4 right now. So he can only trade items in his deck that are level 3 or 4. So right now, he's got these 2 cards, which are level 3. Does he have anything else? He acquired some cool loot, but it's all of a lower level. So right now, he just has these 2 cards, which are level 3 and 4. Now, fortunately, Damiel, the reward for this scenario was a card feat. So let's go ahead and zoom in here. So the card feat for Damiel, he has some options. I'm kind of leaning towards either a weapon. So if I do choose the weapon option, what's cool is that since Damiel is level 4, I can get any weapon of level 2 or less and add it to his deck. That's the same way if I pick another ally or even an armor. So I got some cool choices, but I think where I'm leaning towards with Damiel is I think I'm leaning towards getting another blessing. So that is what we will do. He's going to get another blessing. And also the reward for the scenario was this loot, this new ally. But he's not interested in this ally. So what that is going to mean is that now, let's zoom back out, is Damiel does have this guy to trade to a trader and possibly the Viper if he gets something cool. So we're thinking it'd be cool to go to this guy for the ranged combat weapons, but we don't have 3 boons to trade him. So we'll just go back to our old pal Falsine Deke, and let's go ahead and see what he has to offer us. So shuffling up the item cards, give it a good shuffle here. Gonna roll a D, just some dice to count down. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, let's see what Falsine Deke has to offer us. Anything of level 3 or 4. 3 or 4. Oh, so the spell bottle. He's offering us a spell bottle or a necklace of fireballs. Okay, so this is of course mainly for magic users and not really alchemists. So Damiel is not impressed. He was hoping to get, I think the sun rod is in level 4. That would have been something to definitely worth trading for. But as it is, he's not accepting these 2 items from Falsine Deke. He says, Falsine Deke, I'm an alchemist. I don't want wizard stuff. But and that will conclude our scenario. Well, thank you so much for watching. A pretty interesting adventure. I liked it. And I will have another scenario up shortly. Alright, thank you.